All right, guys, welcome to Mountain Heritage 2015. We are live on the stage tonight. We have got the Cowan Community Center homecoming bunch here. They're going to be telling us some stories of past. I think this side tells stories and this side tells fibs, maybe? Is that right? Yeah. Is that the way it goes, RC? Okay, so without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to them, and they're going to tell us about a little past time.
Without further ado.
Hello! Thank you for stopping by to see what's happening here on stage tonight. I am Lee Lewis Blankenbeckler, and I am with the Cowan Creek Theater Project. Tonight we're going to present to you a story play entitled The Homecoming. Now, our group did not plan to do anything during Mountain Heritage Festival this year until we found out what the theme was, which is going to the mountains is going home. Well, we got really excited because last year we had developed a story play that was that very idea. It is the story of a woman who is coming to the mountains from Indiana for a visit after she has been away for most of her life. She is trying to find, and it's about what happens when she tries to find her home place. She is bringing a very reluctant nephew with her who soon becomes able to identify with the mountains also. It really does go along with the theme very nicely. And if anyone has ever been away, as I was, and has come back, as I did, you will be able to relate to this. This is just another step in the Cowan Community Center's efforts to establish a full-time, permanent community theater in this county. The continuation of the project is made possible through a grant awarded the Cowan Community Action Group Incorporated by the Kentucky Arts Council, the state's art agency, who is supported by state tax dollars and federal funding from the National Endowment for the Arts. Wow. So for now, just sit back, give us your best attention, get as comfortable as you can, and enjoy the homecoming.
Aunt Reba, I don't understand why I have to be here.
Brandon, you don't have to be here. You get to be here. And I've been wanting to get back to the mountains for ever so long, and because you're my family, I want you to see them too.
I guess. If it's so special, why did you leave anyway?
Well, because times were hard then. Really, they still are. But you know how the mines go shut down and then they open? Well, when I was a little girl, they shut down, and my daddy, your grandpa, had to leave here and go to Indiana and find work in the foundry.
But why do we have to come back now?
Well, I felt like it was now or never. And actually, I read about something that's happening at the Cowan Community Center on Facebook. You know, I was there when they started the Cowan Community Center. And I read that today they're having an all-day event, and they're going to be having stories told. They're going to be gathering stories and singing songs. And then they're going to write a play about this area. And I sent them a note just as soon as I heard about it and told them to expect you and me. Now, I'm doing this for you too, but before we go to the community center, I want to drive around a while, see if I can find my old home place.
That's funny. I don't see how somewhere can be home if you don't even know where it is.
Well, now you've heard me say many times, you've got to bloom where you're planted. And I try to do that in Indiana. I've tried to be happy there and make a good home. but I'm ready to get back to the mountains.
I know.
I want you to see our mountains, and I want you to get to know your family. I don't want you to be ashamed of where you're from.
I don't listen to those old hillbilly jokes anyway.
Well, they seem to be making fun more than they are being funny, but between you and me, I got a good one for you.
Okay.
Do you know what a Hoosier is?
What's a Hoosier?
It's a hillbilly whose car broke down in Indiana on the way to Michigan. Lordy mercy. You know, if you move because you want to, that's one thing. But if you move because you have no choice, that's another story.
Do you think being homesick is why Mom got so messed up?
You know, it's hard to say. I know that drugs are a problem everywhere, and I know that East Kentucky has more than its share of drugs. So it's hard to say what could have been. But I do know that your mama loved you, and I know that I just can't explain what happened after the drugs took hold.
Whoa! I've never seen mountains like these before. They're beautiful.
They are, aren't they? And you know, you're a fine-looking young man, too. And don't you ever think that there was anything wrong with you or that you weren't good enough. But we're almost there. Let's get us some music on the radio.
What a fine fall day we're having. Now, imagine a day just like this only 70 years ago. We don't have a Cowan Community Center yet, but we do have an old 3-room school here. And the only thing on my mind is getting my cold feet up against that hot village stove after a long, cold walk to school from Bow Fork.
The first leaves begin to change color at the end of September, and then fall works its way down from the top of the mountains into the valley. Each season, the mountains change their clothes. Fall is when the mountains make their tones of red, gold, purple, brown. Winter is when the mountains turn gray and brown, and sometimes white.
I couldn't wait to get outside at recess to catch one of those beautiful falling leaves. Beech, oak, poplar. It was said, but if you could catch a falling leaf, you'd get a letter from your sweetheart. So while my parents sat swapping stories on the front porch, I was out there waiting on the mail.
Not on my watch.
My dad told me that he and my mom solved 50 years of marriage problems sitting on their front porch swing.
My mom and dad solved all their problems at their Walmart. You know, fall's the time of the year when we've got to cut our kindling wood, and we've got to put a little money aside for the big bad winter coming on. And I tell you what, last winter, if you all can remember, was a very cold one. And this winter, we just want to have a little bit set aside in case the old juice bill goes up again.
Some of my best and earliest memories were outside on the playground. And I would sit under the trees and eat lunch and sit under the trees and read. And I would put a broomstick in between 2 branches of a tree and do a backward split. And we'd call that skin the cat.
We played Browntown, even those of us who could not run very well. One little boy came to school in a wheelchair. He had polio and he could not run. So we'd line up and run bases for him. Even our teacher played. One day the teacher ran so hard he bit his tongue because he kept it hanging out when he was running. He had to go to the doctor, and he appointed me teacher's helper and let me take names.
After lunch, they'd ring a bell, and we'd all line up. Girls in one line and boys in the other, and we'd all head in.
But before we go in, they kept a big bucket in the well house with a dipper in it. And we'd all take the dipper and pour us a drink of water in our cup. Now, if you didn't have a cup, you could make your own cup out of notebook paper.
One day, my sister came unexpectedly and brought me my very own tin accordion cup. To put it away, it would flatten into a small sheet of tin. To use it again, you just pull on it, and there you'd have a cup. I was so proud of my little accordion cup.
A little book with the Red Ryder story in it.
Or running bases for our friends around town.
Or catching a falling leaf at recess. That was all we needed.
You'd get that excited feeling, looking out the window at the sun shining through those trees. And you'd be sitting there thinking, how much longer do I just sit here before I can go outside and feel that warm sunshine and run and play with my friends? I would walk down the road with some of my friends after school and run right back up the road again and join my others, just so I wouldn't miss anything.
I remember walking to and from school, and sometimes you'd see a pawpaw tree, and you'd pick up a pawpaw and eat a pawpaw, or an apple tree, and you pick up an apple and eat an apple. I remember even getting a dime for sweeping up the schoolhouse.
And I remember playing games like Anthony Over and squirting through the ball over the building, and the purpose of it was to run around the building and try to keep it from getting beat. And to further embarrass you, if you missed the ball, everyone would yell,
Pigtails!
And if you didn't like the running around games, we had other games. On Friday, we had arithmetic matches. And one of the teachers had a little boy named Ike. And Ike got the answer right before they even had the problem put up on the board. And he always got it right.
Yeah, it was our goal to beat him, but of course, we never could.
We would have spelling matches and arithmetic matches at other schools.
Sometimes our whole class would walk all the way to another school just to compete. Sometimes we'd walk all the way to Kingdom Come.
So if we tell you to go to Kingdom Come, we ain't cussing you or nothing.
This time, we're going to do an old Ricker Baptist song. And if y'all would like to join in with us, that would be fine.
Yeah.
As I travel down life's pathway.
As I travel down life's pathway,
Don't know what the years may hold.
know not what the years may hold.
As I ponder, hope grows fonder.
As I ponder, hope grows fonder.
Precious sacred scenes unfold.
Precious sacred scenes unfold.
Precious memories, how they linger.
Precious memories, how they linger.
How they ever flood my soul.
How they ever flood my soul.
In the stillness of the midnight.
In the stillness of the midnight.
precious sacred scenes unfold.
Precious sacred scenes unfold.
As we gather in these mountains.
As we gather in these mountains.
With our memories and our hope.
With our memories and our hope.
Places linger through life's changes.
Places linger through life's changes.
And the precious scenes unfold.
And the precious scenes unfold.
All right, folks, good that time. Gerald, the last verse was especially good.
It would sound better if Brett could sing in tune.
Ah, look who's talking. He's flattering a slashed heart.
Cut it out, you two. You know we've got guests in the center today. And two people that's come all the way from Indiana. We're so pleased to see the crowd that's here. Not just our usual folks, but so many new faces. And I see you all got yourself some food. Daryl volunteered to do the main course. And I think he did a good job.
Well, I thank you. Thank you very much.
Why do I even have to be here if I don't know any songs or stories about East Kentucky?
Well, I've been feeling like a part of me has been missing all of my life. And I'm hoping to find out what it is on this trip. But you know, you just relax. You're going to enjoy this.
Well, if you need me, I'll be around.
As some of you may know, the Cowan Creek Community Center is the gathering place for all kinds of people and programs. And today, we brought the theater project together with the music school. After all, theater and music go hand in hand, don't you agree? I'll always remember my mama and papa telling me their stories on the front porch swing in the summertime or by a crackling fire in the winter. Do you remember that? Well, that's what we're here for. We're here to tell stories. As you can see, the band's not quite finished practicing, but I'm sure they'll be finished soon. And again, I'm so glad so many of you have come to help us develop our play. Hi, I don't believe I know your name.
I'm Reba Howard, and that was my nephew Brandon. I think he ran off to visit with the band.
Oh, they'll have him playing music in no time. Have you ever been to the Cowan Creek Community Center or our music program or any of our programs?
No, you see, I live in Indiana, and I've been wanting to come to that Cowan Creek Mountain Music School ever since they started it, but I never have had a chance. But I sure am happy to get here today to visit Letcher County and go to that community center. And I want to try to find my old home place. And besides that, Brandon needs to get involved in something positive, and he needs to know who his family is. He needs to know where he came from.
Oh, you're the folks from Indiana. Here's the folks from Indiana. We're very glad you came. A Howard? Any kin to Bobby Howard?
That politician, Bobby Howard? I don't think so.
Or the Howards from Kings Creek?
It could be, but My family moved away when I was only 6 years old. And I was trying all morning to find my old home place, and I just couldn't find it. We lived in a clapboard house down at Whitcoe. But I've just been away so long, and I've been so busy, and I'm getting older, and I'm trying to raise my nephew. It's just hard for me to realize that I was ever even a part of this place.
Yeah, I was raised on the other side of the mountain in a house between the railroad and the dirt road. And when I walked to school, we either walked that dirt road or the railroad.
Yeah, I remember walking up our road before they paved it. If you heard a car coming, you ran and hid.
Trains would come up the creek, coal trains and passenger trains. If you were walking on the railroad and the train come, you had to jump through the bushes to the road, wait on the road until after the train passed. Used to be we didn't wear shoes in the warm months unless we had to.
You're swearing. Huh. Holy Moses, this blacktop is hot.
That summer, they paved the road, and we kids had to play up there on the ridge, or they'd send us up there on the road to Town Hill.
Yeah, our parents didn't want us around the house or the garden. They brought us out into the woods to play, to get out of the way.
Our brothers, sisters, and friends, we'd work all day in the woods building playhouses. Someone would be in charge of the stones, someone would be in charge of the horse lead. See, we'd bone this horse lead up this field hayward. We borrowed from the paving company that they left lying around.
That wire truly was amazing for baling horse feed together. It even makes pretty good baseballs with it too. I made this tall stacks of wood for the clubhouse too.
That summer, my uncle built a sawmill, and he gave us kids the ends from the rough sawed boards. And we took those slabs, and some of them were straight, and some of them were bowed and knotted, and that's what they gave them to us. And we'd take them and build a playhouse. And we'd put it up one day, and we'd take it up down the next day, and move it, and build it again.
Us girls and boys too, we had to invent our adventures. One day, my sister Nora, friend Chrissy, and friend Greta were looking for a good spot to spend the evening. We found these 4 poplars in a square and decided that was where we were going to build our biggest and bestest treehouse ever.
Did you say a treehouse?
A cabin in the sky.
Whoa.
About 30 feet in the air.
I don't know if you're familiar with poplar wood or not, but if it carries too much weight, it will just snap. Well, we worked like dogs building a ladder, carrying those wood slabs and horse feed out. We worked hard, climbed, built and built, cut together a floor so high that you could see all the way around in every direction. Then we just right up there in that cabin in the sky enjoying it.
I remember looking at it from the ground up. And it kind of swayed, but seemed to be holding up all right, so we carried on.
Anyway, we actually thought we had a pretty good treehouse started. We were so proud. And we knew that we finally found our true clubhouse. It was enough.
We were just about ready to put the final branches and horseweeds up there on the roof. The next day, we showed up, and there it all lay. On the ground, destroyed.
Oh no!
Somebody had knocked the post right out from under it, and it all came tumbling down.
Our creation was destroyed. We were devastated, people. I'm still devastated.
I remember looking at that pile of busted up logs, and I was kind of glad we wasn't in there with them.
Well, yeah, Chrissy's brother said years later, remember that old tree house you and your buddies built? Well, everybody knew what you were up to. Dad told me to break it up. So I got a hammer and a hatchet, and I was going to do some hard work. But I gave those tiny posts just one good lick, and it all fell down. It came tumbling down like the walls of Jericho.
Just like that song. Joshua fit the battle of Jericho, Jericho, Jericho. Joshua fit the battle of Jericho, and the walls came tumbling down.
Well, we're sure glad that you come back to the mountains and brought this young one with you to see the old home place. I'm sure somebody around here is going to know your family and a little bit of their history. Whitco ain't but a few miles down the road.
And we always need someone to help eat more of the food.
And as everybody knows, the best way to get people to show up is
Food!
I can always come here for a home-cooked meal and always find family, even if they ain't blood related. Shucky beans.
Biscuits and sausage gravy.
Corn pudding.
Fried chicken.
Mustard greens.
Fried fatback.
Salmon patties.
Like red dumplings.
My mama's chicken and dumplings.
Fried green tomatoes.
Chocolate pie. Country ham biscuit.
Emmy Collier's gingerbread.
Fall beans and pork shoulder.
Or a big slice of that Cow Creek bologna. I'd about trade a steak in Knoxville for a big, fat, fried slice of bologna in the mountains.
Cornbread and milk.
Or soup bread and corned beef. Soup cornbread.
There's nothing says Cowan Creek, home in the mountains, like a good hot pound of cornbread. My mama's recipe was like a magic spell. 2 eggs, cornmeal.
Lordy, eggs give that pone the strange texture. Letcher County ways. Cornmeal, flour,
Flour!
You put flour in your cornbread? I don't think so.
I'd rather have a big slice of bologna.
Oh, it's about time to sing the food song.
One, two, three, oh, there's food around the corner. Food around the corner. Food around the corner. Food around the corner.
Food around the corner. There's food around the corner.
don't like them deviled eggs.
What? You don't like deviled eggs?
I'm already full as a tick. But I could sure go for one of them cold RC pops right now.
Daryl, can I help you clean up?
Well, thank you, Brandon. I'm much obliged for that.
I saw you brought your own spices. Thought the chili was good.
Now, this year's not chili, Brandon. This year is venison goulash. I learned how to make it from a commissary man, an old cook that was named of Gloca, and when I worked on the ship.
Oh, so did you work on a boat?
I know. We called them ships, Brandon. Back then, you know, the old saying is you can put a boat on the ship, but you can't put a ship on the boat.
Oh, I'd love to get out on a boat, ship, and see the world.
Well, back then, the way it was, Brandon, whenever your parents wanted you to stay home and help, and you didn't decide that you didn't want to help, then you more or less had to leave. But back then, my dad asked me and my brother to stay home and work the farm, and I couldn't see being a mountainside farmer the rest of my life. So I joined the Merchant Marines and went off to see the world.
I think my Aunt Reva said that's something called breaking your plate. Is that what that is?
Well, that's what I meant there. I didn't hear from anybody for so long, so I figured they must like broke my plate. And what that represents there is once you disobeyed your parents, and I didn't hear from them after a while after I left, so that's why I figured that, and then that's how it happened.
So what happened after that?
Well, I went over to work the West Coast, and I got a job with a sea transportation company, and I worked off over on Thailand during the Vietnam War. And then after that, I ended up in Houston, and I saved up a few little money in my pocket, so I was learning how to gamble from a professional gambler. But who knows how that would have turned out.
Well, why did you come back here?
Well, you got to know when to hold them, you got to know when to fold them. Well, I got a letter from my dad, and he was asking me to come back and help him and Mom on the farm. My oldest brother, he got a job in West Virginia at the mines, the Boston over there, and he needed me to come home and help. So I quit my job, got a bus ticket, and I was back in Whitesburg in 2 days.
But you could have been a professional gambler and seen the world.
Well, once I got away and left and seen the world, and I finally came back and seen that there's no other place like right here in the mountains that we call home more beautiful than this. And I had a calling, and I'm just glad I listened.
Sounds like they didn't break your plate after all.
Well, no, and once you've been called home, I guess not. Now help me finish up this cornbread, because if I take it home, the wife, she gets mad every time.
All right.
And furthermore, good friends of District 1, you know you can trust me or...
Judge, please be careful with those words. Last time you said something like that, I remember somebody almost broke their back trying to throw you as far as they could.
Now wait a minute, that's not how it happened. Oh, how you doing there, good friend?
Hey, can't you tell I'm a happy man?
You're joking.
Well, I know you're just a bit depressed because of the last election, Judge. But I tell you what, we've got a cure for you. There's a bullhole, and you're awful familiar with it, I presume. And you should tell these people about the bull holes. Just tell them exactly what it is. You're a very knowledgeable person on it.
Well, Letcher County is the home of the fabled bull hole, to which all defeated politicians are sent to purify their souls and to get the strength to last until the next election.
Well, Letcher County is the home, all right. It's the home of the biggest man, Martin Van Buren Bates. It's the home of the biggest pumpkin, the home of the biggest dog, and even the home of Carl Boggs.
Now, don't change the subject. What is the bull hole? No map pinpoints it, but perhaps you may find it by exploring up Cram Creek, Perk Creek, Little Cowan Creek, or if you want to come over the mountain from Poor Fork, you can do that.
But what is it, you ask? We won't go into the scientific version of why nature left this area in such a phenomenon. What we'll rely upon is the lore of the mountains and the lore of the ancestors.
Well, the bull hole is, in fact, a real place. I've been there a lot. High up on Pine Mountain, above the old Mose Mullins place, where many of you more mature citizens out there might have gone to get apples many, many years ago. It overlooks Whitesburg from that area. It has a long, dark, deep, natural portal leading into the bowels of the earth, from which no living being could make its escape. It could be nothing but a suitable habitation for the rejected and the damned. No wonder then that the poor candidate is haunted at night by nightmares and bull mares.
I like that, George. The poor candidate. Not like the candidates that your party put up. With those big tax incentives, we're going to have us a high-speed railroad from Whitesburg to Hazard. We're going to have some of those dry land fish plantations. And a culinary mushroom farm? Boy, I tell you what. Your party sure had some nice ideas.
Well, thank goodness the Honorable Opposition Party was able to stop arguing amongst itself long enough to sell us on a biohazard quarantine bus to Hazard. But it was used to protect Cowan from infectious West Virginians sneaking over the border. Texas might as well have been going into zombie prevention.
I can tell right now, Judge, that this is just going to be one of those years that we just don't want to hear the politicians talking. Sort of like our presidential election. Yeah. But I'll tell you about the bull. 140 years ago, this bull was roaming around up on the side of a hill, about like this little hill right here, right up there around where Fred Hall's sitting. And he was just a roaming around, and all of a sudden, poof, he's gone. We don't know if that bull went into a cavern, or he may be over in China by now.
Well, Rand Polly, a nearby citizen of mettle and valor, was determined that he would venture down in the hole to see. Hundreds of people gathered around for the occasion. A windlass was assembled with 500 feet of cable and secured to a very strong basket. Polly climbed into the basket, and the windlass took him down, and down, and down, and down. Down into that hole he went, and that wide and thirsty mouth it had. Everyone held their breath like you're doing. Surely he was going to his destruction. But finally there came a signal tug on the windlass. It stopped. He had found the animal.
Boy, it surely must have been a big cable to pull up an animal like that.
Eyewitnesses say that when the deceased animal appeared at the mouth of the bull hole, it had stretched into the longest bull that anyone had ever seen.
Not a bull to me.
So this area right here is going to be our front porch swing. You see, the front porch swing is the theme of our play. Whether you have a front porch swing or a front porch for that matter, we've all sat on one at one time or other and swapped stories.
For some, it was more like telling lies. Hush you, we weren't telling lies, we were telling stories. There is a difference.
You see, in order to develop our play, we had to gather stories about this place and the people who live here. Come on, guys, let's show them what we've been working on. Scene 3.
I can remember driving up and down these roads making deliveries. Every house I used to stop at, the host would expect me to say something nice about their garden. But really what they wanted to know was how was the neighbor's garden growing. People around here sure do look out after each other. Oh yeah. Neighbors drive by and notice the lights are off, so they call to make sure I'm okay. Or they notice that my father-in-law's curtain's been moved, so they call because there's nobody living there anymore. Or they might call to say the road's washing out and to be careful. Now sometimes this can be a two-edged sword, because neighbors always notice everything, even things you don't want them to notice. I had some neighbors that noticed the home license plates parked in my yard. How's your friend from Knott County? Was that a Honda from Colorado I saw in your driveway last weekend? See?
All I can say from experience is you should not walk out the road to get the mail wearing your pajamas if you don't want to be complimented at Walmart on your new outfit. I'll never forget the time that most of the folks in the county thought my great Aunt Hallie had died. You know, it's common practice around here that when you go through town and go around the funeral homes, you slow down at the board to see who's on there. Well, one of her neighbors, he didn't like her much anyway, he thought he saw her name. Well, he couldn't wait to run all over the county and tell everybody he saw that Aunt Hallie had passed away. Well, another common practice is people start bringing food to the house for the family. Well, here people started showing up at her door, and she wasn't near as surprised as they were when she opened the door and said, "Howdy, well that's a mighty fine dish for my supper tonight, but it'll take more than a nosy neighbor to put me in the grave." So you see, Brandon and Reva, what do you think about our theater project? Just because you're not from here doesn't mean you can't contribute to our play. We need all kinds of everybody's ideas.
I'll do it.
Thank you. I think your play is going to be great. It's helping me remember where I came from. And to tell you the truth, it's been a rather hard day. Before we got here today, Brandon and I spent a solid hour driving down dead-end roads in Whitcote. And I was trying to find that old home place, and I couldn't find it anywhere. I was hoping, really hoping, that someone here might know something of my family or might be able to help me find it.
Letcher County, Howard, huh? I bet we're cousins.
Well, I'm a Howard, yes, but I'm not sure if I have any relations here yet or not.
Well, we'll claim cousins anyway.
Okay, all right. Thank you for making me feel so welcome. You see, I left here when I was about 6 years old, and I just really don't know if there's anyone left or not. We lived in a clapboard house a little bit outside of town, and it had a big backyard. And Mom and Dad planted a garden in it. And it seemed like that yard went straight up the steep side of a mountain. Now, I've seen a picture of me and a bunch of kids sliding down that mountain in the snow on cardboard boxes.
Does that house sound familiar to you? Well, I doubt if you could get up there now with all the trees and brush grown up. I believe there was about 3 families living there when we first moved here. That was at the end of the road where the church used to be.
I remember that church.
Well, Cece, I'm glad you're sitting down because that house has been gone for years, and I doubt if you could get up to that lot.
Oh no. I remember that garden, and I remember how my dad and his buddies worked for 2 months every day clearing out that backyard just so they could plant a garden. I guess that garden's gone too. I can remember when my dad lost his job the last time. But unlike all of the other times when he'd lost it before, he couldn't find one this time. And we tried to stay there for about a year without any steady pay. It was really hard. And finally he heard about some family and friends who had moved up to Columbus, Indiana, and they'd found work in the foundry. So my dad decided our family would go, and he loaded us up in the old truck. We put what furniture and belongings we could in the back, and the family piled in the front, and we went to Columbus. My mom said I cried all the way from Lexington to Louisville when she told me I couldn't go back home and go to school with my friends. You know, raising my nephew now, being around a young person, I've got a new perspective about how hard it is to find a place that's home. It's hard for us old people too. How does a person like me come home? And what do you do when you can't find your place?
Well, I've never been so lonesome for my hometown. It seems I never was so far away. But I can hear that freight train a-blowing, and I'll be gone before the break of day. I'll have to quit my daily rent. Tonight I'm gonna start my journey back. Well, I'm sitting on the top of an old box farm, and I'm sailing down that silver stream of track. Eastbound freight train, eastbound freight train, take me home again. Eastbound freight train, eastbound freight train, let me stay until the end. Well, I've never strayed far from my hometown. I'll never leave again to roam. I know that I was born to wander, but I'm gonna stick around my home. Now I can see that smoke rolling out on that old smokestack. I'm sitting on the top of an old boxcar, and I'm staring down that silver stream of trash. Eastbound freight train, take me home again. Eastbound freight train, let me stay until the end. Let me stay until the end.
I remember boom times when everybody had new clothes and new cars, and I remember bust times when everybody just lived on pinto beans.
I remember walking up and down these country roads, stopping to visit or just waving as I go by. I did this as a child and as an adult. Some of us still do this.
I remember one of the worst national coal mine disasters happened right here in Letcher County. In 1976, on March the 9th, right across Pine Mountain here at the old Scotia Mines. They were 11 men, they were 15 men that was killed that day. They was taking a load of rails underground, and when they got to the base, the motor they was operating set off a spark. The spark set off the methane, and it set off the coal dust, which called a chain reaction explosion. There was 9 men killed instantly. Later on, they found the 6 had tried to barricade themselves, but they suffocated. That hurt. That was family members, dad, brothers, uncles, and that really cut us deep. Then 2 days later, there was 3 mine inspectors and 8 self-rescuers. They went in to try to recover the bodies, and they had a second explosion. And during that time, there was 26 men that lost their lives. Now, they erected a sign over on 119 where it happened, and they put in a museum up here at Hemphill to honor them. We will never forget what happened that day.
Mommy's brother, Cairo, was one of those that was killed. And his name's on the memorial up there at Hemphill.
I remember when big town school closed, like many 1, 2, and 3 room schools, which is such a part of our growing up in the mountains. When your school closes, a part of you is gone.
I remember the night our old school left for good. It burned to the ground like a lot of old schools did.
The night of the fire, I remember watching the flames leaking up over the rooftops. And I was just standing there wondering what was happening to the pigs that we hung our coats on and those beautiful olive floors that you could see your reflection in.
I came to the fire that night with my daddy and my uncle, and it made me remember teachers and friends that I used to play with and all the games we used to play.
And I remember those flames as they light up the dark sky, remembering all those that came before us.
To all those who have come before, we remember you.
But the day after the fire, the whole community met and voted unanimously to rebuild. We had already poured a foundation for a new building, and we just built from the ashes up like a phoenix.
And that's part of being in a community, whether you live here or not. We have all lost something. People, places, time, effort. But after the fire, we gathered together prayed about it, and decided to continue on.
Well, I sure do thank you all for letting us be here, but Brandon, I guess we may as well get started back and let these people get on with their work. I see what they're doing is so important. I just wish I could have found my old home place.
Young lady, I believe that home place isn't just a building. You're here now, aren't you?
Yay, Reva. Remember what you said? We get to be here. It's like coming home.
You know, you don't have to be from here to be part of this place, part of this community spirit that is alive and well during these creeks, these hollers, these ridges, and these mountains.
So that's what we're here for, with these stories and this music, carrying on with what we know and trying to figure out what comes next. Doesn't matter if you're from Letcher, Cowan, Indiana, or wherever.
Heritage, hospitality, home-cooked meals.
Jeremiah,
Graveyard Hall,
Fail Cry, Dry Fork, Elk Ranch,
Park Creek School,
Second grade student.
Whitesburg.
Leon.
Growing up on Cowan Creek with young friends like Glenn Miles, Fred Fields, Jim Dollarhide, Gillis Dollarhide, Benton Whitaker.
Letcher spells loyalty, enjoyment, togetherness, caring, home, everyone, roots.
Character.
And characters.
Festivities and the mountain mist.
Heaven was born here.
One day I'd like to live in a beautiful place with a garden and a front porch swing of my own.
We're family even though we're not blood related.
What can we do to help each other?
How can I help?
I wish for jobs for our young people, water and electricity in each home, and heat in the wintertime.
Comfort, security, hard work. Our children are leaving.
Against it, for it, I'm not here to argue.
It's for the people, by the people, and for the people who comes after us to continue and add to our stories.
When you come here, it's sort of like bubble gum sticking on the bottom of your shoe. You just stick around.
Place matters.
These mountains matter.
Relationships, ancestors, unity, and legacy.
These mountains will call you home. You just have to listen.
Heaven was born here. We just want to keep it here.
Come home or make it home.
I dream of our children, our grandchildren, and our great-grandchildren who will call this place home and will make it home. We want to better our community.
We want to believe in and live in a place. We want to believe in our place.
Well, when you live in the country, everybody is your neighbor. On this one thing you can rely. They all come to see you and never leave the sand. Y'all come and see us by and by. Y'all come. Y'all come. Well, you all come and see it when you can. Y'all come. Y'all come. Well, you all come and see us now. Well, the kin folks they're coming by the dozen, eating everything from soup to hay. And right after dinner, they ain't looking any thinner. And here is what you'll hear them say. Y'all come, y'all come. Oh, you all come see us when you can. Y'all come, y'all come. Well, you all come and see us now. Now, Grandma, she's wishing they come to the kitchen and help with the dishes right away. But they all started leaving, even though she is grieving, and this is what you'll hear her say. Y'all come, y'all come. Well, you all come see us when you can. Y'all come, y'all come. Well, you all come and see us now and then.
Thank you all so much for your good attention and honoring our stories. We hope you really enjoyed it. Let's give this cast another big round of applause. They have worked so hard. And our wonderful band that gave us such support, thanks to them. Thanks to Mark Kidd, who's here in the audience somewhere, who scripted the story. And as Lee said earlier, we aren't through with this story yet. We're going to work on it more and more. Next June, we hope to have it ready to be really, really something even better. And if anyone wants to be part of it, you'd be very welcome. See any member of this group, and they'll put you in touch with me, and I'll get you involved. Thank you so much, and enjoy Mountain Heritage.